December 2024, Chelsea are second in the Premier League, with Cole Palmer scoring 11 goals and providing 6 assists. At the same time, Palmer's former club, Man City, are in 7th place, 8 points behind Chelsea. But you know what's craziest? Palmer is outscoring the entire Man City midfield. So, just a year and a half after that move from Man City to Chelsea, Palmer is having the best time of his short career so far. And this is his story of how he went from the streets to the Premier League score sheets. Born in Wythenshawe, Manchester in 2002, Palmer grew up in a family that loved football, even if it wasn't necessarily the blue side of the city. His household were all Manchester United fans, and Palmer himself idolised Wayne Rooney. Like so many children in the area, his early years were filled with dreams of donning the red shirt. Even Palmer himself has been pictured in Man United's famous red shirt. So Palmer was crazy for football, and by the time he was 8, he received his first contract. Or, to be honest, there were 2 of them. Just like the famous scene from The Matrix, Palmer had a very, very tough choice in front of him. In the one hand, he had the red of Manchester United, and in the other, the blue of Manchester City. He was indeed the Neo in that moment. The catch, however, is that the 2 contracts were not on equal terms. The difference was that the Man United one was a trial, while the Man City contract was a concrete offer. They wanted to have him now and irreversibly. And despite his family's United loyalties and his own admiration for Rooney, Palmer chose Manchester City in 2010. Remember the photo of Palmer wearing the Man United jersey? Well, that is a kit from the 2010-11 season of the Reds, which means that even after him joining Man City, Palmer continued cheering for his favourite team. Pretty strange, right? But his coach didn't know about his fan allegiances for a very, very long time. From the moment he joined City's academy, Palmer's journey wasn't without its challenges. At times, he was smaller and physically behind his peers, which made it harder to stand out. Here, for example, you can see him as a 14-year-old. I mean, he looks like 10 or 11 here, not 14. But what Palmer lacked in height, he made up for in intelligence, technical ability and sheer grit. He quickly rose through the ranks, demonstrating a knack for being in the right place at the right time, and an ability to make things click on the pitch with his presence. Fortunately for him, he grew from 5'7" to 6'2" over the next few months, and was ready to make an even bigger impact on the pitch. As part of City's highly competitive youth system, Palmer shared the training ground with future stars, such as Phil Foden, Jadon Sancho and Brahim Diaz. Palmer was heavily inspired by him, and by the time he captained the under-18s in the 2019-20 season, it was clear that Palmer had matured into a leader. That was the year in which he cemented his reputation as one of the brightest prospects in City's academy, contributing with some crucial goals in the FA Youth and Premier League too. But the road wasn't always smooth. Competing at such a high level meant dealing with the pressures of expectation, and Palmer endured setbacks and periods of self-doubt. Luckily, the biggest leaders of Man City back then, Vincent Kompany and David Silva, often talked to the young and motivated boys to cheer them up and show them the right way. And then the long-awaited moment arrived, a senior Man City debut. It came in a Carabao Cup game against Burnley, where Palmer came off the bench, sharp, composed and above all, eager to impress. Imagine his desire to prove himself under the bright lights, having come through the entire Man City academy system and finally making his debut under Pep Guardiola. What happened over the next 3 years was a mixture of undeniable talent, of course, but also a lot of patience and resilience. After making his senior debut, he continued to earn sporadic minutes under Guardiola, often showing glimpses of his potential. However, he remained a key figure for City's under-23 side, where he was an absolute standout. Yet the difference between the under-23s and the senior side was huge, and there were many weeks in which he played for both teams. For example, there was that time when Palmer played for Guardiola in a Premier League game against Burnley, and just hours later turned on for the under-23s. That night, he scored a stunning hat-trick to lead the youth side to victory. 3 days later, he scored his first Champions League goal for Man City against Club Brugge at the Etihad. And the fact that this is the only goal he scored in the Champions League to this day makes it even more special for Palmer. It was at that moment, however, when the world began to take notice of his talent, and after his performances in the 2021-22 season, he appeared on the shortlist of the Golden Boy Award. Yet, he didn't win it, and it was Barcelona's Gavi who took it home. But with little more confidence from Guardiola, he could have become a real asset to City, just as happened with Phil Foden a few years earlier. Unfortunately, that vote of confidence never came, and Palmer found himself caught between 2 worlds. Too talented for youth football, but not good enough for the City first team. Even in the 2022-23 season, when he made 25 appearances in all competitions and featured in big games against Liverpool and Chelsea, he still struggled struggled to find a starting place. Shockingly, of those 25 games, he started from the opening whistle just 3 times in either the Premier League or Champions League. Despite Guardiola's assurances that he was part of the club's long-term plans, Palmer began to feel that his future at the Etihad was not as bright as he had hoped. But he had 2 more chances to prove himself and impress Guardiola, and he took both, scoring the Community Shield against Arsenal and in the European Super Cup against Sevilla. The latter was particularly important as he scored the equaliser, and then City went on to win on penalties. And even after those heroics, Pep Guardiola still refused to give Palmer the role he wanted, so Cole opted to go out on loan to prepare for the next season. But City's management weren't happy with this. There were 2 options for Palmer: either be sold or stay in the first team and have limited playing time. So in the very last days of the 2023 summer transfer window, Chelsea knocked on the door with a £40 million offer, and Man City immediately accepted. Literally one of the biggest mistakes they've made in their recent history. As for Palmer, he was again underestimated. Whether it was because of his shabby appearance, his diminutive stature, or the fact that Chelsea were investing heavily with no clear result in sight, Palmer's welcome at Stamford Bridge was anything but warm. But it didn't take him long to silence the doubters. In fact, he rose to the challenge with a maturity beyond his years. Under Mauricio Pochettino, Palmer quickly established himself as an integral part of the Chelsea attack. When the squad was littered with young talent, Palmer stood out for his composure on the ball and ability to deliver when it counted. His first standout performance came in October, when he scored the decisive penalty against Burnley, demonstrating not only his technical ability, but also his composure under pressure. In fact, his first 4 goals came from the spot, as Palmer was quick to take responsibility for penalties. And as crazy as it sounds, he has never missed a penalty in his professional career. Moreover, one of the most defining moments of the 2023-24 season came in November, in a chaotic 4-4 thriller against former club Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. Palmer was electric throughout the game, capping his performance with a perfectly taken penalty that saved a point for Chelsea in the dying moments. For many, it was the moment Palmer proved he wasn't just a promising talent, he was a game changer. He went on to score many more crucial goals against Newcastle, a hat-trick against Man United, and 4 against Everton. Ultimately, he finished the season with 33 Premier League goals to win the Young Player of the Year award. These consistent performances earned him a place at the Euros, where he once again faced the same old enemy: underestimation. He didn't start any of the 7 games up to the final, but even with his limited playing time, he made a big impact on several occasions. First, the penalty against Switzerland in the quarter-finals, then the assist for Ollie Watkins against the Netherlands, and finally, the equaliser against Spain in the final. Yeah, England lost that night, but Palmer's outstanding performances were one of the stories of the 2023-24 season, and fortunately for him and his fans, his form has been even better this season. In September, for example, in a game against Brighton, he became the first player in Premier League history to score 4 goals in the first half of a match. But the record-breaking didn't stop there. Palmer's 2 penalties in a heroic comeback win over Spurs made him Chelsea's all-time top contributor in a calendar year, with 37 goals and assists, surpassing Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's 36 in 2001. Not only that, but he also became Chelsea's all-time penalty kicking record holder, 12 from 12 in his career to date. Much more could be said about Palmer's relationship with Man City, but one thing is for sure: Pep Guardiola feels a certain amount of guilt for letting Palmer go. Imagine the impact he could have had on City right now, with their struggles in the last 2 months. If you enjoyed that one, don't forget to leave a comment and hit the like and subscribe button for more similar content. If you want to see something similar, check out our upload on Thierry Henry. See you next time.